The night was bitter cold. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes even breathing feel heavy. Under the dim, flickering streetlight at the corner bus stop, a young woman sat curled against the bench, arms wrapped around herself, shivering violently. Her clothes were thin, clearly not meant for the biting winter wind. A torn sweater clung to her shoulders, and her shoes were soaked through from the slush that covered the ground. She had no bag, no phone in hand, nothing. Her name was Emily. Until a few weeks ago, she had a small apartment, a steady job at a diner, and dreams of saving enough to return to school. But life has a cruel way of unraveling all at once. The diner closed. The landlord showed no mercy. And with no family to fall back on, Emily had found herself adrift, invisible to the bustling city that no longer had a place for her. Tonight, she hadn't eaten in 2 days. She sat at the bus stop not because she was waiting for a bus, but because she had nowhere else to go. The bench was at least better than the frozen sidewalk. As she fought to keep her eyes open, a pair of small footsteps approached. "Daddy, look," a little voice whispered. Emily lifted her head slowly. A man and his daughter were waiting for the bus. The father was tall, in a thick coat, holding a leather briefcase. His daughter couldn't have been more than 6. She wore a pink jacket, her cheeks rosy from the cold, her wide eyes fixed on Emily. The man glanced at Emily, then quickly looked away, tightening his grip on his daughter's hand. People did that often. They saw her, but they didn't really see her. But the child didn't look away. She stepped closer. Emily wanted to shrink into herself, embarrassed by her state. But before she could, the little girl tilted her head and asked softly, "Why are you sitting here in the cold?" Emily hesitated. No one had asked her that in weeks. I don't have anywhere else to go," she whispered, her voice hoarse. The child's brow furrowed. She turned to her father. "Daddy, she's cold." The man shifted uncomfortably. "Sweetheart, come back here." But the girl didn't move. She studied Emily with an innocence that cut deeper than pity. Then, almost as if it were the most natural thing in the world, she leaned closer and whispered, "Can you be my mommy?" The word struck like a lightning bolt. Emily's eyes widened, tears welling instantly. She opened her mouth but no words came. The father froze, clearly caught off guard. "Emma," he said sharply, his voice a mixture of shock and embarrassment. "Don't say things like that." But the little girl looked back at him stubbornly. "Why not? She looks lonely. And I don't have a mommy." Silence hung heavy in the air. Emily's heart pounded. She looked at the man and saw the truth in his eyes, grief. This was not just a child's game. The girl really had no mother. The father cleared his throat, visibly uncomfortable. "I'm sorry," he muttered to Emily, avoiding her gaze. But Emily couldn't stop staring at the little girl. That one whisper, "Can you be my mommy?" had awakened something in her she thought she had lost, a sense of worth, of being needed. The bus pulled up with a loud hiss. The father gently ushered his daughter forward. Emily assumed that was the end of it. People always moved on. But as the man lifted his daughter onto the bus, the little girl wriggled free and ran back to Emily. She took off her pink gloves and shoved them into Emily's hands. "Here. You need them more." Emily felt the warmth of the gloves instantly, but even more, she felt the warmth of the gesture. She tried to protest, but the bus driver was honking impatiently. The girl's father scooped her up and carried her aboard. The bus pulled away, leaving Emily sitting there, clutching the tiny gloves to her chest. For the first time in weeks, she smiled through her tears. The next day, Emily woke up determined. The little girl's words echoed in her mind. She had almost given up, but now, someone, even a child, had seen her as more than just a broken woman on a bench. She dragged herself to a nearby shelter. It was overcrowded, but they welcomed her in. Over the following weeks, Emily found herself slowly piecing her life back together: hot meals, a bed, and eventually a lead on a new job at a bakery. Still, she couldn't forget the little girl. The memory of those innocent eyes lingered. One snowy evening, weeks later, Emily was helping at the shelter's food line when the door opened. A man and his daughter walked in, donating boxes of canned goods. Her breath caught. It was them. The girl saw her instantly and lit up. "Daddy! It's her!" She ran over and hugged Emily tightly, as if they had always known each other. The father looked at Emily, this time without the guarded expression. He saw someone who was no longer shivering on a bench, but standing tall, helping others. "Thank you," Emily whispered to the little girl, her voice breaking. The father stepped closer, his voice softer than before. "We should thank you. Emma hasn't stopped talking about you since that night." The girl tugged her father's sleeve. "Can she come over for dinner, Daddy?" He hesitated, then smiled gently. "Yes, I think that would be nice." That evening, Emily sat at a warm dinner table for the first time in months. Laughter filled the room as the little girl chattered away, proudly showing Emily her drawings. The father watched quietly, and for the first time in years, his home didn't feel empty. Emily realized something profound: kindness doesn't always come from grand gestures, it can be a whisper, a pair of gloves, a child's innocent heart. She had been saved not by pity, but by being seen. And in turn, she was now able to give back, one act of kindness at a time.